All right, welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Bernd. Evan, how we doing?
Feeling good. Been busy. I feel like it hasn't been too long, but I feel good. I'm excited about this, the new coaching hire.
It's about time. I mean, honestly, about time that they did this, and here's why. The last process took like 28 days or so, right? Like, when the last time that they did this was in 2023, Mike Budenholzer had just gotten fired. And I believe it was mid-May before they selected Adrian Griffin. Now, how they came to that decision was really interesting because it's been reported that John Horst wanted Nick Nurse. Giannis was like, no, he uses his guys too much and stuff like that. I think Giannis vetoed it. Excuse me. I think the next time they fired Adrian Griffin halfway through the year, they're like, okay. John Horst allegedly was like, I want Kenny Atkinson. This time the ownership stepped in and was like, no, we need a proven coach, Doc Rivers. Okay. So I think this time around, Milwaukee was just like, okay, we know who our guy is. We don't need to pussyfoot around. Like, we don't need to go through this whole process of acting like other candidates are involved. The NBA's rules and the NFL's rules are very different. The NFL, obviously, you have to interview like at least 2 minority candidates before you hire somebody. Mm-hmm. The NBA, it's really kind of a free-for-all. Because really, the only reason why the Rooney Rule was created was because black coaches were not getting opportunities to be head coaches. That's not an issue in the NBA. There are plenty of black coaches. So you really don't need to be like, oh my God, there's not enough diversity in the NBA. Mm-hmm. So I think they're just like, all right, Taylor Jenkins is our guy. We're going to go with him. And he knows Milwaukee kind of well. I mean, look, he was an assistant under Mike Budenholzer and for about a year. Yep. He coached the Grizzlies for 6. And by the way, I've seen people say this where it's like, well, apparently John Morant didn't like him. So, Milwaukee would make a trade for him. It's like, first of all, I wouldn't want John Morant anyway. I don't know why anybody would. Okay. He's not the same player as he once was. He's always hurt. And I'm sorry. Are we just forgetting about the fact that he flashed a gun on a live stream twice
and hit a kid?
Literally, people and honestly, it was so dumb that the Grizzlies did that they made the move. Oh, because John Morant didn't like him. I don't give a crap if John Morant's your franchise player. Is the team winning or not? Okay. John Morant, I'm sorry, should not be helping making important organizational decisions. All those off the court issues, you're gonna base it off. Oh well, John Morant didn't like him. Yeah, and who cares if John Morant likes somebody or not? The people read too much into that. Where a coach has to like a player, or the coach is gone. What happened to the days when a coach and a player didn't get along, but they still won? Okay, as long as you win, who cares? You don't I don't like all my bosses. Okay, you still work for them. Okay, you still want to have a good output at the end of the day. So liking your boss is very overrated to me. However, and here's the other thing too. Okay, so very successful tenure in Memphis, kind of towards the end where they weren't beating any Western Conference team with a winning record. But look, this is just the first domino to fall, Evan. Okay. Milwaukee, outside of Giannis, really has some huge decisions to make. on what they want their team identity to be. Because last season, they didn't have one. And, there was a lot of, and, the locker room, like, okay, Doc Rivers can say whatever he wants that, it wasn't as toxic as people made it out to be. But, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't exactly denied that those things weren't said about, check my resume. And I know that was taken out of context, but you still said it.
Yep.
Or, you gathering all the veteran players together and telling them you let me down this year. Those things were said. Okay. And I believe the second one more than the first one because the second one was written by Milwaukee Bucks beat writer for The Athletic, Eric Name. Okay. That happened. He's not making that up. He would have no reason to make that up. Okay. So Taylor Jenkins really has to get the culture back on track. Okay. A decision on Giannis has to be made. All right. And then you have to figure out what you want the rest of the roster to look like. So I guess so I know I've gone on for a little bit. So what was your reaction when Milwaukee hired Taylor Jenkins?
Again, it was a fast process, but again, this could have been something going on behind the scenes that hasn't really been reported as much yet. But I think realistically, I think this is the best option that you could get coaching wise. Again, there's a lot of coaches that aren't necessarily available or just make the most sense for the Bucks fit. I feel like, again, has experience, obviously has been to the playoffs a few times, hasn't had the most success in the playoffs, but is still like a younger head coach. But I feel like with this hiring, I feel like it's going to set the stone earlier with what they want to do with Giannis. Is this going to be a get him early and then hope that things kind of over the summer change to, again, want to keep him and extend him? Again, I'm not sure if Giannis had any saying in this hiring. I've seen both ways where he has and he hasn't. But no, again, it was quick, but again, I'm kind of excited that they went with probably the number one option, I feel like, with coaches available. And it wasn't a process where, you're interviewing a bunch of guys, you're giving the guy with the first year experience again, that's usually a good thing if you're, typically a bottom 5 seed and, you're kind of working with younger guys. But in this situation, you got a head coach with experience. Again, not like a 15 to 20 year experience. So again, he's not a vet by any means, in my opinion. And again, has coached Giannis before here on his first MVP season. So I feel comfortable with it. I'm excited for it. Again, it was faster than I kind of expected it to be. But I feel like with that, who knows their timeline? More of like get a coach first and then kind of go from there, whether that's Giannis per se or anything draft related, trades, whatever you're kind of thinking is what you want him to be a part of. So I feel like I could kind of play in any way, kind of based off of what they think their summer is going to look like, and then getting into the closer to the preseason, start of the season itself. But no, I feel good. I'm excited, and I hope this kind of works out the way that everyone is hoping it will, and just kind of seeing his mentality put into the Bucks roster as well, and just kind of seeing who is that best fit with him, and who they might have to send away for someone else. But no, I'm excited, and I think it'll be a good fit. Again, now it just kind of comes down to the whole Giannis situation and kind of seeing where that rolls with the new coach itself.
Yeah, and by the way, people were just throwing out the dumbest names possible. Okay, the dumbest name. That's how you know Taylor Jenkins is the perfect fit, because somebody threw in their top 3 list for Bucks head coaches. The first one was Darvin Ham. I was like, all right.
Yeah, no.
Cut it out. Okay. First of all, the real reason why Darvin Ham got the job, okay, again, he had a successful tenure as an assistant under Mike Budenholzer, okay? But, okay. LeBron James is going to make any coach look successful, okay? The first year, I think they went to the Western Conference Finals, got swept in 4 games against the Denver Nuggets, okay? Second year, again, playoffs, not far. Darvin Ham was getting roasted online by his huddles in the game. Salute. All right, really? You Darvin Ham? why Darvin Ham? An extension of Doc Rivers' staff. Okay. And that's Taylor Jenkins. The other thing he's going to have to do is he's got to really remake that staff too, because
Yep.
I'll tell you what, a lot of those guys are not going to have jobs next year. Okay. Maybe Vin Baker. Is Vin Baker still on the staff there?
Ooh, I don't know.
Vin Baker.
I don't think so. I feel like I haven't seen him.
Vin Baker's been there.
About him.
He's been there for a while. So, but look, Taylor Jenkins is going to have to remake that staff. All right. Well, the other one that's a popular name that people keep throwing out there is Sean Sweeney. And, that's a guy who really helped kind of develop Giannis into the player that he is today. That's also a relative unknown to me. Okay, this time Milwaukee is just like, okay, we're getting a guy who's young and he's a proven commodity. That's a good first step. Okay, but it takes two to tango, Evan. John Horst and ownership have to help him by helping Taylor Jenkins, by helping build a better roster than what they built like last year. Because last year, as you saw, okay, the pieces are there, but the problem is they just, it was kind of square peg, round hole. Okay, they didn't all fit together. It was a weird fit. There was a lot of selfishness on that team, and I think Giannis wants to go back to a more free-flowing style where like everybody gets the ball, and Giannis doesn't have to feel like he has to score 30 points every night for this team to win. Okay, and that's really what it kind of devolved into last year, and that's why Milwaukee didn't have as much success, is because if Giannis wasn't scoring like 30 to 35, the team probably wasn't going to win. All right, so like if they could do that, I think they're at the very least a playoff team. All right. Now, Bobby Portis, I'm going to skip ahead here. Bobby Portis did say that this team remains like championship contenders, and I'm like, I completely disagree with that assertion.
Yeah,
they're not. Like they look.
Playoff maybe, but
playoffs, no, come on. Like, here's the thing. Again, during the Budenholzer era, I had the aura of, maybe they get to a championship. But then, all right, you're out in, but the thing is, as fans, you're just like, okay, you win the championship like 21, but then, 22, you
out in the second round.
Yeah, out in the second round, which again, really hampered by the fact that Chris Middleton got hurt in game 2 of that first round series against Chicago, which I actually made a video about today about, what if Chris Middleton doesn't get hurt in that series? Do they still beat the Celtics? And I wholeheartedly said yes, because I don't think they had enough offense to really move on against the Celtics because, again, Chris Middleton in that playoff run in 21 was our best playmaker and shot maker. And I think outside of that, like if it was just Giannis, then that's just not enough. Like Giannis is not, like, no disrespect to Giannis, but he's not LeBron James. Okay, he can't just will you to like a series victory. He can score 35. Do not get me wrong, but he's not. I just don't see him like willing a team to like a whole ass playoff series, and that is no knock on Giannis. I think he's an amazing player, one of the greatest of all time, or at least in that discussion. But, LeBron used to just drag teams to 2 wins in the finals, which was crazy. Because he had the whole package, being able to shoot and be able to draw fouls, stuff like that.
Yep.
And, again, 23 out in the first round, 24 out in the first round, 25 out in the first round. You can't be out in the first round 3 straight years and then be like, well, I mean, he's going to a good spot. We're title contender. No, we're not.
No,
we're not. Okay. Look at the teams that are still currently playing that are in the playoffs, excuse me. Okay. Like, you can't, like, the East was for the East, honestly, like, okay, Boston's Boston. Like, Boston's going to be good no matter what. Like, Joe Mazzulla, Brad Stevens, they have a great nucleus there. And, and again, we talked about this last week. There's talks that, if the Celtics are out early, which it doesn't look like it's going to be in this series, but like we're talking next series, they might break up the Jays and they might trade for Giannis. Okay. So if you could get one of the the Bucks fans need to hope that the Celtics lose in the second round so that they are going to think about breaking up that core. And then, there's a chance that Giannis could be traded to Boston. Who knows? But again, you have to, like I said, the ownership and the GM, they have to build a good roster, okay? And that's going to start with the draft, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows where Milwaukee's going to go in the lottery, and then it's going to go right to free agency. So really make a decision on where you want and what you want your team to look like.
Yeah, I feel like draft-wise, I feel like they're going to have – realistically, if you're talking about, trading Kevin Porter Jr., Kuzma, Gary Trent, maybe even Bobby, I feel like you might have to draft a small forward. Again, if you're keeping Giannis, I'm just realistically thinking Rollins, AJ Green, looking for a small forward, Giannis, Miles Turner. Again, a forward of some sort, I feel like, is what they've been lacking the most outside of when Giannis is in. Otherwise, again, it's still kind of up in there. Do you get another guard forward or a center? But you kind of have a little center heavy with Usman and Jericho. So I feel like a forward is going to make the most sense. But again, that goes off of you trading Giannis or not. It'll be an interesting draft for sure.
It will be. Move on to the next topic because this is what people think Shams was capping here. He said he had a report yesterday that said Giannis was not consulted before this hiring was made. Do you believe him?
I feel like there's no way he didn't have a small saying in it, or just like maybe like not a saying, but maybe just more of like a, hey, this is who we are looking to interview. And again, kind of going from there. But I don't know. I can't imagine he didn't have a small knowing, whether he was, included in anything outside of that. But there's no way it was just done in the dark or behind the scenes without him knowing or having any clue of anything potentially kind of going down earlier in their off season. No way.
Yeah, I feel like it was one of those things where, okay, I don't know if consulted's the right word because that would make it seem like that he was very much in on those decisions, like he was sitting there with the ownership and John Horst and stuff like that. I probably more or less think that it was, Giannis, we're probably going to hire Taylor Jenkins. You good with that? Like that type of thing. Yeah. I don't actually think that they. Like, I don't think Giannis really had because I think in the last two times, I know he can deny it all he wants. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the last two times, he has kind of been able to pick his own coach. And, he fell out of favor with, Mike Budenholzer in terms of like, he didn't like being coached by him anymore. And, he wanted to get, and again, he very much did not make the right decision there. Or help ownership make the right decision, because I think if they would have stuck into John Horst, I don't think Milwaukee's in the position that they're currently in of having to pay for another coach. Okay, because that's basically what they're doing, right? They give Doc Rivers this new extension, thinking that he was the answer. Mm-hmm. He wasn't, and now they're having to pay yet another coach. Which, I mean, stop it! Really, just stop. Just hire one and stick to it. Like, okay, it was one thing to like fire Budenholzer. It's like, all right, well, what's going to work out? It was 5 years. They lost the 18, blah blah blah. But then you hire Adrian Griffin. You don't fully believe in him, and then you fire him like 31 games in. And by the way, Adrian Griffin still hasn't had an NBA job since. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be one of those smoke, there's fire type of thing there. Like there's got to be some scouts in his class, or maybe took a break from coaching. I have no idea, but I am curious to know why Adrian Griffin hasn't had like an assistant coach's job after that. But I do think he was consulted. I just don't think he was, or excuse me, I think he was. I think they ran it by him. I don't think he was, helping make the organizational decisions there.
Yeah, he's not sitting at the table with them.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I didn't fully believe that either.
But again, yeah, it's also based off of they could in their mind already know whether they're going to trade Giannis or not. it could kind of be decided already, just not publicly announced. But again, it's also Shams, where it's like you never know what is true and what isn't. It's kind of just like a shot in the dark, or just picking at random of what the true things are. And again, maybe he didn't, but again, I can't imagine, even at their current state, that he had no clue what was happening.
So, a quick follow-up to that: do you think the hire of Taylor Jenkins is enough to keep Giannis in Milwaukee?
It's funny because, when the news first dropped, and I'm looking at posts, I always look at the comments, and someone's like, "Yeah, Giannis is definitely out." I'm like, okay, they didn't hire some random first-year 30-year-old dude who's just starting out his coaching career. I can't imagine this is what's going to drive Giannis out. And again, that was the same thing with Miles Turner, where he helped recruit him over here, and people are like, "Yeah, I saw Miles Turner. Yeah, Giannis is definitely going to want out," and here he is, still on the team. I can't imagine the coaching decision is what's going to be the reason why he leaves. He could have asked for a trade for the 2.5 seasons under Doc Rivers, and he didn't. Again, he very much could have left at any time he wanted. Again, whether that would have been through a trade the last few seasons with Doc Rivers, but he didn't. Through all the rumors itself too. Again, I don't think, out of all the hires too that they could have done, I don't think Taylor Jenkins is going to be the reason why Giannis is like, "Yeah, get me out of here." Horrible decision, blah, blah, blah. But no, there's no way that this is going to be the reason as to why they're out. I feel like the coaching outside, I feel like the coaching is going to be different, have a different reasoning outside of the current roster itself. I feel like based off of the team play, or how Jenkins is looking at constructing the roster itself, could be a better reason. But I don't think just the idea of them hiring him is the main decision as to why he would potentially want to leave the team. I think it's going to be his coaching style, and who he's going to be playing, whether that's kind of keeping the core together or trading a bunch of guys. But no, I don't think so that would be his final decision.
Yeah, and my thing is, I don't know if this had any bearing one way or the other if he was going to stay. I think what he's going to do is he's probably just going to see how the summer turns out, see how Milwaukee handles the draft, handles the free agency, and then he's going to make his decision from there. Because as Shams reported last year, I think he knew last May that he kind of knew that Milwaukee really didn't have a championship roster. And then he was still a little lukewarm once Miles Turner signed. So this may help. I just think that I think he's going to take I think he's going to do what he's always done, which is take a wait and see approach to gauge on whether he has a championship roster in front of him, or even a playoff roster in front of him, or even a competitive roster, because they didn't have those three things last season. Okay, that more so it looked like a lottery team roster by the end. So really, Giannis is just going to gauge. He's going to see. He's going to be like, "All right, well, let's see what we got in front of me," and we're just going to go from there. But I'm not. But I just don't think Taylor Jenkins is enough to be like, okay, now we need Giannis to stay. I just, I don't view it that way personally.
Yeah, and again, he could leave at any point. And I know I said that earlier. It's again, he could have asked for a trade under Adrian Griffin, under Doc Rivers, maybe even at the end of Budenholzer. Again, he had so many chances of we're not going in the right direction. He managed to go through 3 seasons of losing in the first round, and he is still on the team and missing the playoffs. And technically right now he still is on the team, even with the deadline itself. But I don't know. I just feel like people are pushing a narrative of obviously just wanting Giannis out, which we've seen the past many years. At this point, I feel like it's been at least 5 or 6 years. But again, the difference is just the the team that Giannis has, I feel like with a good coach, is capable of making the playoffs. You know, it doesn't mean like automatically winning the finals, but they are a playoff team. I feel like they have a lot of guys who are capable of producing the playoffs because some of these guys have been with them the last few years. But again, the whole logic behind the Giannis trading as well is so many people are like, trade him to the Nets, trade him to the Raptors. It's like, what is that going to do? That is going to plummet Giannis's whole chance of like leaving to go to a contender or like a different team. It's like the logic behind a lot of these trades is just going to a team where it's like the Nets are going to have to give up their whole roster for Giannis. And then now he's going to be probably a last place team because they traded everyone. Same for the Raptors. Again, Raptors probably a little better, but still, like you're going to have to give up so much where it's like, all right, now you're like, what was the whole point of that? And I just feel like they still have a chance of making this roster playoff contenders. Again, you just never know with saying finals contenders. I feel like you can only be a final contender if you're constantly making the Eastern Conference Finals or the finals itself and just not getting over that hump. But right now, they could easily make the playoffs. But if you trade the correct guys and you know you're either signing or you're trading and drafting, again, that's all going to depend on what he's saying. But it's a tricky thing where I still feel like he'll stay. Again, I can't imagine like a season where Giannis just isn't here. Again, there's just been countless and countless and countless opportunities and chances where he could have easily got up, hey, I want to be traded. And he hasn't. He could have not signed an extension in 2020, and then they won later that season. I don't know. There's just a weird, or in 2021, that early January, but there's just that weird lingering of, if they trade him, it literally has to be the most perfect thing in the entire world. Otherwise, there is no point. Again, if you're going to be traded to a team where we're not getting anything in return back, or you're going to a bottom feeder team because they're going to trade us their whole roster, cool. See ya, in a way. But again, I can't imagine it. And I truly think that this summer is just going to be trade after trade. And then they're going to sign someone new and then hoping that Taylor Jenkins plays them, because the whole point of getting our lottery pick is to produce and have this guy play and not let him just sit and ride the bench forever and then release him for Thanasis. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But no, again, I just can't imagine that he is just getting ready to up and get out of here. I can't. And again, that's no bias, Bucks fan. It's just after the numerous opportunities and different chances, I can't imagine it at this point.
By the way, just a quick aside, even if the Nets gave up their entire roster, that would not be enough to get Giannis. I've seen some of the players on their team.
Correct.
Like, I don't even, like, I'll be honest, when I was watching Bucks first Nets games, I was like, I cannot name, like, I could barely name a player on this team. I'm being dead serious. Like, I know they had Danny Wolf, but, Evan, I swear to you, outside of that, I'm trying to think of a player that plays for the Brooklyn Nets. I know they have Michael Porter Jr., but, I mean, outside of that, like, who else is, like, honestly, what is their roster? Like, that team was an absolute abomination. The fact that those players were in the NBA is crazy to me. I know they're NBA level talents. I know it's really hard to make it to the NBA, but, like, really? Who, like, what was that roster supposed to be? That was the worst roster. Milwaukee somehow lost to that team by 45 points. And that was damn near the worst roster in the NBA. There was no noteworthy players that played for the Brooklyn Nets. None. I honestly could not name you one. Noah Clowney, is that a name? I don't know.
Yeah, or Claxton, but it's like, is Claxton and Michael Porter Jr. going to be that pivotal shift change to trading Giannis, like a guy that they haven't had since Kareem?
No.
It's like, it's just unreal what people think are logistical trades for Giannis.
And by the way, I saw this yesterday. The Phoenix Suns are interested. I'm like, dude, I see what the Phoenix Suns are now. Like, unless you're giving up Devin Booker.
Yeah. Correct. Devin Booker would have to be on the Bucks. Yep.
If he's traded to the Suns, Devin Booker better be a Buck then. Like, swear to you, and they're probably not going to do that. But it's like, that's the only trade I would give up. There's no other player that I would give up for Giannis.
Correct.
It doesn't involve another premium All-Star player. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, they would need again, you're going to need some like VJ Etchcombe or Stephon Castle. Like, you're going to need these up and coming superstars. Otherwise, it's like, I don't want it unless you're getting, again, Jaylen Brown or Booker. But it's like, still, like, do I want Booker over Giannis? Not really. But
but I'm saying,
it's just crazy.
Okay, you know what? Honestly, I've said it before. The perfect trade, perfect world, Celtics. Giannis to the Celtics for either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. Okay, because at least you're getting like a premium all-star who has like years of good basketball left ahead of him. Okay, maybe more or less Jason Tatum because he's younger. But again, that's going to be very hard to part with, and that's the thing. Is like Celtics. I had to trade away Porzingis and Holiday. I think after last year, I believe it was, is because they couldn't afford them.
Yep.
So really, they have to have some tough decisions to make this offseason if they're out of the playoffs early. So, Evan, do you have anything else?
No, again, it'll be interesting. Obviously, with the playoffs going on right now, I can't imagine anything big is going to happen until the draft itself. So just kind of looking at seeding wise and just kind of paying more attention again to who gets bounced out early. Obviously, like the Hawks just took a 2-1 lead against the Knicks. So it's like, the Knicks have always been that big target too, where it's a lot of these teams, you just never know with some of these outcomes. But no, I feel like the next thing Bucks wise is just kind of looking at, who's struggling right now in the playoffs and what could potentially alter any Bucks timeline. But no, it'll be interesting, but we'll make sure to be there for every step of the way.
Yep. So, all right. Thank you guys for tuning in to this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. And we'll see you guys hopefully there's another big update to come.